just going to quickly bring up my whiteboard and hopefully you can see that. Once again, today we're going to look at solving quadratics using the quadratic formula. Hello, hello, hello. If I'm not loud enough, can you just say so? I've just turned my mic down quite a bit because I have crickets outside and they're making a real racket. So if you can hear me, just say, I can hear you, Mr. Dharma. That'd be wonderful. Thank you so much. So today, let's have a look at solving quadratics. Ben, I'm not starting late. I was perfectly on time. So, solving quadratics. So, we have quadratic equations which typically look like x squared plus 7x plus 12 equals 0. Okay, I'm very quiet. Okay, thank you. That's very good. I will up my volume. Sorry about the cicadas in the background then. Hopefully, this will be okay. So just sing out if I'm not loud enough again. Can you hear me now? The hope is you can. Okay, just keep letting me know. I will be... Yeah, I think this might be loud enough. Can you hear us? Okay. I'm just going to... Okay, fantastic. So someone can hear me. This is fantastic. So I'm just going to factorize this. And typically, you go look for two numbers that can multiply to get 12, they add to 7, and I'm going to go 3 and 4, and I put this into two brackets, and I solve. Fantastic. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Now, I turned it down just because there was lots of cicadas outside, and it was manic. I don't want to show you what that sounds like, so this is great. And then once I've got this, I will go, and this is the thing I really like to do. This is go, when is this 0? Or when is this 0? And I think people forget to record and write stuff like this. Even louder. Okay, cool. I'll get a little louder. Thank you, Ronan. Um, if you hear cicadas, it's your fault, not mine. There we go. So, fantastic. So, x equals -3 or x equals -4. There we go. Fantastic. Anyway, so that's how you'd solve a quadratic. Just communicate to me if I'm not loud enough or if I'm too loud. And if there's cicadas, I'll try to do something. So, that's how you solve a quadratic. Sometimes it's a little trickier, and those in my class know that this is one of my favorite questions. Solve for x. I use this question quite often, and so you should know off by heart. Thank you. So what you do is you multiply this and this together to get 6, and you're like, okay, what are two factors of 6 that add to 5? And you will go, okay, once again, that's 2 and 3, and you can split this 5x into 2x and 3x. So it's 2x squared plus 2x plus 3x plus 3 equals 0. There's a magic line in the middle, and then you factorize each part. So this, I'll get 2x out of here, and I get x plus 1, and I'll get a plus 3, and I'll get a plus x plus 1. And so, ooh, that's not what was meant to happen. And from that, I can factorize to have x plus 2, 2x plus 3, and x plus 1 as two separate brackets. And once again, solving these, making sure I go, when is this 0? Or when is this 0? I will get my two solutions of 2x, x is equal to negative 3 over 2, or x is equal to negative 1. Okay, okay. Okay, you can hear the cicadas. I'm sorry, deal with it, okay? Before it was even louder. So, whatever. So sometimes you'll have to solve where you've just factorized. Other times you'll have to use what I call the gate method to factorize. But now, sometimes a question can change. Yeah, the volume's still low. Okay, sometimes the question can change just a little bit, and it becomes not easy to solve. And so I'm going to say, let's do one more. And this one, I'm going to just change a little. 2x squared plus 5x plus 2 equals 0. How do you solve this? What are two numbers that multiply to 4 that add to 5? Oh, it's 4 and 1. Oh my god, guys, I'm sorry. It's 4 and 1. Yep. They multiply together to get 4, add to 5. This works. Cool. So and I can factorize. And you're like, Mr. Dharma, this is not meant to work. But why is it working? And I'm like, actually, it's not very different. The question's slightly less precise, but it still works. And I get my two solutions, x equals negative 2 and or x equals negative half. I don't want to go through that point, okay? I change a question a little bit, still works. What about changing a little bit more? Ooh. 2x squared plus 5x plus 1 equals 0. Can you tell me two numbers that multiply to 2 that add to 5? Okay, Barack Obama is watching this video. This is fantastic. I'm not sure. I'm not sure because I can't think of numbers that add to 2 that multiply to 5. And so this question actually, I don't know how to do. I don't know how to do with this method. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come up with a new method. All right? And we're going to introduce the quadratic formula. Okay? So the quadratic formula is a way of solving quadratics in a certain form. If you have a quadratic that looks like ax squared plus bx equals c, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then it's true that x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And this is called the quadratic formula. Okay? So if you have a quadratic that looks like this, then it is true that x equals this. And the craziest part is this plus or minus symbol in here. The plus or minus symbol means it's either the plus or the minus. So let's test this out on one we already know. Let's try it. Okay, and so let's do this question. Question 1, x squared plus 7x plus 12 equals 0. Is it in this form? Yes, it is. Okay, what's A, B, and C? A is 1, B is 7, and C is 12. Do I need to use it for this question? No, but I know what the solutions are, so I'm going to use it to check. Okay, negative B, so negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 7 squared, which is 49. I might just write 7 squared for now. 7 squared. Ooh. Oh. Minus 4 times A, which is 1, times C, which is 12. Oh dear Lord, man. My computer has lost it today. All over 2 times A, which is 1. Alright. So let's plug that in and see what happens. Negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 49. And what's 4 times 1 times 12? That's 48. 2. It's negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 1 over 2. And let's try one more. 7 plus or minus the square root of 1, which is 1 over 2. And so if I then go and write this in two separate bits, I get x is negative 7 minus 7 over 2, or negative 7 plus 7 over 2. And let's see what they are. Negative 7 minus 7 over 2. Negative 7 minus 1 is negative 8. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. And negative 7 plus 1 is negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Are these the same solutions as we got before? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. They are the same solutions. This is fantastic. And so this quadratic formula works. And it works really well. And in fact, you can solve almost every question using this quadratic formula if it's a quadratic. And it's quite nice. It's robust, and it's not like the gate method that we had before that broke when we had this situation. Okay? Because the quadratic formula can solve this question. This method doesn't work, but the quadratic formula will. So let's try solve this question using the quadratic formula. Okay? So once again, I'm just going to write the quadratic formula and the question up the top. So the question is, question 2 is 2x squared plus 5x plus 1 equals 0. And the quadratic formula, just for reference, is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all over 2a. Now that's something that's normally given to you, so I wouldn't stress about trying to memorize it. Okay, but you will eventually memorize it. So let's list off A, B, and C are. A is 2, B is 5, and C is 1. Let's plug them in, give it a go. Okay, try to do this with me. Okay, I'm going to go x equals negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 5 squared minus 4 times a times c, all over 2 times a. Okay? Now let's simplify. We've got negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 5 squared is 25, and 2 times 4 is 8, times 1 is 8, all over 2 times 2, which is 4. And so I have negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus 8 is 17, all over 4. Okay, and once again, I'm going to take them and do two different parts. All right, and so we get x is equal to negative 5 minus root 17 over 4. That's a 4, not a 2. And x, and it's or this or that. And I can work them out as decimals. So I'm going to type in my calculator with brackets, negative 5 minus square root of 17 divided by 4. And I get negative 0.281 to 3dp. Okay, and then if I change the minus to a plus, I get negative 0.219 also to 3dp. Those are my two solutions, and you can notice that these solutions are a lot uglier, yes, uglier, than what I had before with the nice whole numbers and nice fractions. Okay, and this is how the quadratic formula is used. So you take A, B, and C, A, B, and C, and you plug them in to this formula here. And if you do this correctly, every time you should come up with the right solutions. And that's really, really important. I notice I've only done 17 minutes of this live stream, but I'm going to give you a few practice questions for you to attempt, okay? And then we will go through them together. Okay, so question 1. Okay, they're all solved for x. Okay, question 1 is x squared plus 8x plus 6. Okay, equals 0. Okay, once again, it's not a hard question because, it's not impossible, I don't think. But it's just we can't find numbers that multiply to 6 that add to 8. If we could, we'd be sorted, and we wouldn't have to use the quadratic formula. Question 2, once again. 3x squared plus 6x plus 1. Okay, equals 0. And question 3, I'm going to make 2x squared minus 4x plus, now let's make this interesting, minus 7 equals 0. Okay? Okay, those 3 questions, I want you to try. And then I'm going to put a question 4 over here, and I'm going to ask you how this works. X squared plus 2x plus 7. Okay, I want you to try this one too. And tell me what happens. And we're going to talk about this on Monday. Okay, we're going to talk about why this one is really weird. I'm going to converse with this. Okay? I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and then I'll come back to you. Can you say something? Can you type something if you're listening? Feels like you've gone quiet for a little while. Cool. No one said anything. Okay, cool. Angelina, thank you. I thought no one was there. It was going to be weird. All right. Yo, hi people. Cool. Let's try this again. First off, I'm going to just outline what A, B, and C are. Okay. Okay, thanks, Ben. A, B, and C. And I want you to check these against your answers. Okay, guys, enough of that. Cool, 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 cool. So, okay. So, my voice is not live, but my typing is. So, let's hope you stop there. Okay, cool. All right, so let's try this thing. Okay. Negative B. Oh, right. Should I write the quadratic formula somewhere for you? Yes, I should. I'm going to write it. I'm going to write it right here. Negative B plus minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Okay. Then I'm going to plug in and see what happens. X equals negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times 6. Okay, all over 2, 1, which is just 2. Okay, and so I'm going to just simplify these a little bit too much because I think you guys can do it. So that's negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 64, or 8 squared 64, and 4 times 6 is 24, times 1 is still 24. So 64 take away 24 is 40, all over 2. And so, if you type this into your calculator, you will get, well, x, no, I'm going to get rid of this equal sign, and I'll get x equals, once again, brackets are really important, and you check your minus signs and your plus signs. It's really important, okay? Divided by 2. Okay, so x equals negative 7.162 3dp, and x equals negative 0.838 to 3dp. And can you just quickly comment in the comments if you've got those two answers? That'd be really wonderful. Okay, and let's try this next one. Once again, outlining what A, B, and C are. A is 1. No, it's not. That's a lie. Don't lie, Mr. Dharma. A is 3. B is 6. And C is 1. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I've got the formula over here, so I'm just going to use it. So I'm going to go x equals negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times 3 times 1 all over 2 times 3. Okay, just going to simplify over here. Oh, yeah. And I get negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 minus 12 all over 6. And it seems really interesting to try and divide, but don't divide the 6. Bad things happen when you try to divide inside a square root. Okay, and I'm just going to write negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 24 all over 6. And so if you try them separately, negative 6, I'm going to do the minus first again. Minus square root 24 over 6, or negative 6 plus square root 24 over 6. I'm going to try that on my calculator and we'll see what we get. Feel free to type your answers because I'd like to see if you guys have got them before me. Okay, so even for the next ones, feel free to type the answers and, you guys can corroborate, okay? Negative 0.8, no, so negative 1.816 3D, and the other one is, okay, or x equals negative 0.184, once again 3dp. Just check the fact that I'm rounding, and because I'm rounding, my numbers are going to be slightly different to the exact number from the calculator. Okay, but this is how I do this. All right. Now, let's try this question down here. And I want us to be very careful. Okay? I want us to be very careful. Can you just confirm that you got these questions? Because question 3 is not easy. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that there. I'll move up in a second. Question 3, I've done something very interesting. A is 2. B is negative 4. B is a negative number, and that's kind of important. And C is negative as well. And you've got to keep your negatives very clear. Okay, once again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just write the quadratic formula over here for you. B plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, and it's really important that you write it out as often as you can because you get used to it, okay? I'm now really used to it, but I still like to write it out, okay? And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this up. X equals, and just check what this, I'm going to be very careful here. Negative b. So negative of negative 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 4 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 7. Okay, so this is why using brackets in your substitution is really important. Okay, because you can make mistakes really easily. And I've seen so many people make these mistakes. Okay, so check this. X is equal to negative makes a positive, plus or minus. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. Okay, negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 7 is plus 56. All over 4. Check your minus signs in here, team. I've seen too many people make these mistakes. Plus or minus. Okay, 56 plus 56 plus 16 is going to be 72 all over 4. And once again, I'm going to type these into my calculator. I'm going to do the minus first, or x equals Okay, really, really important that you check that. Okay, and I'll just get this in my calculator. And actually, I'm not going to scroll down. I'm going to try and put it over here somewhere. Okay, and so we'll go, that one can go there. And so we'll go brackets, 4 minus root 72, close bracket, divided by 4. Ooh. X is negative 1.121 3dp, and make sure you write this when you do this. Okay, it's just really good math etiquette, you know. Because you're always trying to show that you understand that you're rounding, you understand how the maths works, and you're not being silly about things. And this is 3, 2, 1. Okay, and for me, that's that question done. Let me know if you got that answer also. Thanks, team. Now, you might be wondering, why did Mr. Dharma write question 4 in red? You know, is he just forgetting his colors and wanting to write it in red? Or is there something weird happening? And my question here to you is, when we do this, what strange thing is going to happen? Okay. I want you to think about it, and I want you to comment. I'll wait as to what happens after I do this. A equals 1, B equals 2, and C equals 7. Okay? Plug it into the quadratic formula and see what happens. All right. I'm just going to scoot over. Thank you. You're wondering. Okay. Ronan, that's exactly what I told you to do, and so you are doing it. I like it. Wondering is super good. So many mathematicians wonder all the time. So I'm so glad you are also wondering. And trying to move this, it ain't moving. What does this do? That didn't do anything. Yeah, nah. Cool. I can square a negative number, sir. Why not? Okay, Oliver Cow. Let's have a look. Okay. So, I'm going to plug it in. And so, I have x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 2 squared, minus times a times c, all over 2 times 1. Okay? Let's simplify, and we get negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 squared is 4 minus 28 over 2. Oh, this seems to be fine. Negative 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 24 over 2. And yes, you guys are kind of on the right track. This square root of negative 24 causes me problems. I can't yet square root negative numbers, and because I can't yet square root negative numbers, I say that there are no real solutions. And so when you come to our chat on Monday, in our live stream on Monday, you'll notice why this information is going to be really useful and where we get that kind of really important information. Now, some of you might know that you can do most of the algebra for this on your calculator, and your calculator can actually give you the solutions to this. But I'm not going to show you how to do it on a calculator, because I just don't think there's much value in me saying, hey, you can plug this into a calculator and it will solve for you. Because, yes, that's true, but it doesn't really help you learn more maths. And so, if you know how to do it on a calculator, good. If not, maybe I'll make a small video in the next few days of showing you how to make it, how to do it on a calculator. But I'd rather you get really, really used to being able to show your working and how show that you understand how to use the quadratic formula, because the quadratic formula is really, really useful and really important for us, and it really, centerpins a lot of the cool maths that we do going forward. Okay, well done, Barack, and yeah, Rosemary and Zitong, Ben, Oliver. Um, it's good. So there's some questions you can solve, other questions you can't solve. Okay, Ben, why are you bamboozled? Is it because that we thought it would work, but it doesn't? Um, I'm not going to say that there are no solutions. I'm going to say that there are no real solutions. And that distinction is really interesting. When you come into level 3 calculus, we're going to discuss what that word real means. Okay, and if we're in lockdown any longer, we might have to do a level 3 video on this. Okay, so unless there are any questions, I'm going to end the video here. I think it's been quite productive. Can you just sound off in the chat if you would like me to cover any questions in particular? Otherwise, I will sign out. So just let me know in the chat if you are comfortable, if there's anything you want me to talk about. Thank you, team. I'll wait. All right, guys. Are there any pages in the workbook that you can do? Okay, so I've already uploaded well, your teacher probably has already uploaded for you what pages, but I'll just indicate what pages. And so for me, the questions that you can cover on this kind of content are pages 55, 56, and 57. Okay, 55, 56, 57, you can do that via calculator, or no, via hand, and you can do more later on if you want, but we're going to start looking at the nature of roots on Monday's session, and maybe if we need to, we'll do some more interesting things. Okay, team, thank you. I'll sign out now. Bye for now. Thank you, Dr. Hoffman, for hanging out. Perfect.